Hello everybody, welcome back to Jerfish Entertainment. We have something new to play with. It's called the WARBL. It's yet another electro chanter. It's got a few differences over the TECHNOPIPES. So you can play a variety of different instruments with it actually, from Highland pipes to Uilleann pipes to tin whistle even. So we're going to check it out. Comparing them side by side, you can see they're overall about the same length once you add the bottom bell sensor for the WARBL. And that's what this is right here. This is the bottom sensor for bottom D if you're playing the Uilleann pipes. And it just plugs in and out. You can even remove it if you're playing tin whistle on there. A big striking difference, however, are these holes here. The sensors are optical versus something that's electrostatic contact points. That changes what you can do with this instrument in a lot of ways. I had a question on my TECHNOPIPES demo with regards to glissando, or being able to bend notes whenever you do a slide and a slow let off of your finger like you do on tin whistles or on pipes. And you cannot really do those on the TECHNOPIPES as far as I can tell, because that's an electrical contact. However, with optical sensors, you actually can do that. So this device does permit you to do glissando, and I'll show you how that sounds. Another big difference is how you activate the second octave. Whereas with the TECHNOPIPES, you have a bag here that plugs in and essentially has a button. It has a switch in there to tell it to go to the second octave. This works very differently. It has a pressure sensor that connects to a tube that then this will go into a bag that you can squeeze in order to create the different air pressures that go to the second octave. Also, that means that it will not sound at all if you don't give it a little bit of pressure. There are a lot of different settings on here for the WARBL for changing those pressure sensitivities and modifying the chanter and using it in different ways. It has a lot of customizability that really makes it interesting. As it has the pressure sensor on the top, that is also where you would put the fipple for the tin whistle attachment in order to play it like a tin whistle. And on the bottom, there is a micro USB port that is used for connecting it into your audio devices. There are a series of buttons on the back that are used for customization options for changing settings on the fly without having to go into other user interfaces and change settings, which is another big difference between the TECHNOPIPES and the WARBL. The WARBL has a graphical user interface that you can modify it on the iOS devices, which is really convenient for changing things rather than using different button combinations that you must do with the TECHNOPIPES. The full kit, if you get everything for being able to play Uilleann pipes with the WARBL, does come with this bag that you connect to in order to fill it with some air pressure in order to use it as a squeeze bag. It's just a simple water bottle. The end of the WARBL cable is USB, so you will need an adapter depending on what device you're going to plug into. Now, if you're going into a computer, it's not an issue. But if you're going into an iOS device, you're either going to need a USB to Lightning camera adapter or a USB to USB-C adapter for one of the newer iPad Pros. You can also use it with an iPhone using this same adapter that's going into this older iPad. You do not need separate speakers. It will play right off of your iPad itself. What you don't need with the WARBL over the TECHNOPIPES is a MIDI controller. So you don't need all of this that the TECHNOPIPES uses in order to connect it into an iOS device. I ordered the WARBL from Andrew Mowry on his website. I believe he created it, and his responsiveness to any kind of questions from a technical support standpoint has been fantastic. Immediately responds. Really gives you a lot of confidence in the instrument in that regard. He's been helping me this week with getting some of the apps set up, so thank you, appreciate that. Just to give you an example of how the optical sensors kind of do things, there's a setting you can even do for how far away your fingers are when it'll start picking up that you are starting to close the note for your different effects. So for vibrato, you can do the lower fingers on the chanter. Or you can even just do right next to the hole itself. Just like if you had actual airflow coming out of the pipes. But that bend is what's really neat. And that's just something TECHNOPIPES, unfortunately, as far as I can see, can't do. You know, it is a little bit trickier to play this, I feel, as far as covering the holes, but maybe that creates a little bit better technique for the actual pipes. We'll find out when I have a set of pipes, and we'll kind of go from there.
So given the choice, if you had to pin me down and pick just one of these two fantastic instruments, I'm going to go with the WARBL. The Technopipes are a lot of fun, although the inability to do any kind of vibrato and articulation without connecting them into a device using additional expensive equipment and a lot of spaghetti makes them a limiter. Although it is nice that you can just kind of grab them and go out and play with them with just a set of headphones and a battery in there. But it really isn't controlling them like a bagpipe per se because of the fact it uses a switch to go into the second octave and no kind of pneumatics. The WARBL gives you the pneumatics, and yeah, you do need to connect it into an iOS device of some kind for getting any kind of sound out of it. However, it has so many other options. You can use it as a whistle, you can use it as a multitude of bagpipes, you can use air pressure to control it or not. The possibilities keep going up from there if you were to think about this going into a PC and using it as a MIDI device for a multitude of different purposes. Plus, the amount of configurations you can do in the WARBL app is staggering. That should be a completely separate video in and of itself, which maybe I'll get to later on when I'm talking about the apps that you can use with this device. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any kind of suggestions or any kind of questions, please put them in the comments below. Thank you.